No, dude, not at all. The only thing I'll say is keep the mic close to your mouth, like real close to your mouth. Like it feels like kind of invasive, but just keep it there.
Like that, eh? Okay, cool. I'm looking to get these mics for myself too. How are these mics?
Dude, they're wicked.
Yeah.
They're really nice.
My buddy Seb has these, and he says they're pretty legit too.
Does he has like a podcast? Or?
No. He just does it for Zoom calls and if he comes in as a guest as a podcast. So that's what I was thinking about doing, just because I've been getting invited quite a bit now. And I do a lot of Zoom calls with a lot of like colleagues that are collaborating with me on the documentary. Mm-hmm. So I want to be able to record a lot of those too, and then archive them for a possibility of using them for the documentary.
Yeah, dude. So that's like the first thing I heard about you is like this documentary. Like, sorry, I didn't let you know, but we're rolling right now.
Cool, let's go.
Yeah,
I can handle.
But yeah, man. Tell me about like the documentary. Like, what's going on with that? What kind of interest you into doing that?
Yeah. So this is a documentary essentially chronicling or documenting me and the people that are helping me over the next 3 years to run across Canada in 2025. Mm-hmm. So the goal, I'll just kind of go over the goal and then what kind of precipitated the idea. The goal is to eventually run across Canada in under 6 months. That's 6,000 kilometers in under 6 months. So that's roughly 50 kilometers a day for 6 months. The goal is to raise $1 million for first responders and veterans programs related to PTSD and mental health. And so that's the goal. Now, how do we get there? I'm not originally a runner, so I've been training over the last year or two. And then this year and the next year, I'll be obviously training. And in a nutshell, that's what the documentary is. It's going to record, film and track me doing that with all the people that are supporting me and helping me. And why am I doing it for mental health? Well, I'm a first responder myself, and I have friends and family that are also military and first responders, veterans. And I myself suffer from mental health issues, PTSD. And I thought it was a no-brainer. So how it started? Okay, where do we start there? A couple years ago, during the pandemic, or at least the beginning of the pandemic, I was still training in Jiu Jitsu, and I was lifting weights quite often. Mm-hmm. And I was training really religiously in Jiu Jitsu, like 4, 5, 6 times a week, and I was competing often. And the pandemic hit, so that put a pause on the training. Mm-hmm. So I initially, I was able to manage. I was, training, working, nothing too major going on. And then, went back to jiu-jitsu, it opened back up, and then eventually it stopped again. And that was kind of the breaking point for me. I was also, during that same time, I was going through a separation and a divorce, and I was dealing with all the fallout from that. Mm-hmm. So for me, physical activity was an outlet. And especially jiu-jitsu, because that was a physical thing, but it's also a connection thing. Mm-hmm. Meeting with friends, I'm talking, I'm discussing things. We're just enjoying a night out kind of thing.
Yeah.
But not going out and partying, right?
Yeah.
So that was when that happened. I'm not gonna lie, man. I broke down. It was tough for me, and at the time, I still didn't really know what was going on in my head. Like, I was just thought, I've been grinding my whole life, working and lifting and grinding. You just kind of keep your head down and do your thing. So when that happened, I was like, okay, well, something's going to give here. I need to do something. And I just had read Goggins' book, You Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah. Dude, one of my favorites, dude. I love that one.
Yeah, it's a good book. And full disclosure, I didn't read it all.
Yeah.
I read parts of it.
I audiobooked it. I didn't read any of it.
Right on, man. But when I read through the first part of it, a lot of it resonated with me. And, and here's the reality, right? Goggins and a lot of people like him aren't saying things that are too different. I mean, what's the written history? Thousands of years. So things have been said, right?
Yeah.
It just matters about the delivery system and how it resonates with you. And people like Goggins resonate with me.
Yeah.
So I started running for the first time in over 20 years, right? And I hated running. I used to run in high school, and I'm 44. And in high school, I was on the wrestling team. We used to run. I hated it. I was the worst even then.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyways, I started simple. I kept it easy because I wanted to be able to continue. So I only did 3 times a week, 5K, kept it simple for me. And my times weren't amazing, right? I just got them done.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the real answer. I didn't know what was a good time.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about running.
Dude, I'm still there. Like I've been running, like kind of like casually running for like maybe 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And I'm still like that. Like I don't know like what's kind of like a good time or if I make good times. I know like kind of my average pace.
Yeah.
But I don't know like if that compares to other people.
I can tell you now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. I did I think my marathon time was just over 4 hours, I think, or 5. I can't remember actually. I have it in my phone.
No, no, it's 4
But my
hours.
pace is usually around 5.5 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, no, that's
per
good.
kilometer.
Per kilometer for 42 kilometers.
Yeah, I've only done it once.
Yeah, so that's good. That's a good time.
I think my pace was actually slower than that for the full thing.
Yeah.
I think the first I remember the first 30K because I was only gonna do like a 30K.
Yeah.
And that took me like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And then the last like 12K were grueling.
No, man. I'll tell you what. You finishing it and never doing that, that's props to you, man. That's tough.
It was, yeah, it was, that was the last time I think it was like a physical test of like, I want to fucking quit so many times.
Yeah.
Like, there was so many times where I'm like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore, man. Like my legs jacked. I can't even imagine like a 50K or 100K, man. Like,
well, look, man, you can because you felt it when you did the 30, right? There isn't that much of a difference between the 30 and the 50. You're going to feel the same amount of pain, and you're going to train similarly for it, right? So you know what it feels like, right? And
I just did 10Ks. That's all I did to train. I was like, if I can do a couple 10Ks, then I can do 30. That was my theory.
That was your theory, and it's a terrible one, so that's cool. But here's the positive out of that. You did really well for not really training. So that's pretty legit.
That's not really training because it was pretty bad. Like even it's funny because even now when I run like 3K or like 5K, it's like within like the first 2K, I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like that's the mental because I'm the same as you, man. I hate running, dude. I naturally, I just hate it. I don't enjoy it at all. There's nothing fun about it. Like playing sports, I love.
Yeah.
Lifting weights, I love. But running, for me, it's just a constant battle of like, I don't want to fucking do this. And then I just keep doing it.
Well, because you're always thinking, right? Like it's hard. Like I can explain from myself, right? When I first started the running, even still now, but to a lesser degree, my mind wouldn't stop running. Like that anxiety thing, you're constantly thinking about things, right? So like, I get it. So like that first 10 minutes, like you explained, same for me. And what I learned for kind of repeatedly doing it was that goes away after about 10 minutes. So when if I'm hitting it around 10, 15 minutes, after that threshold, it goes away. And then you kind of get that rhythm and you've essentially regulated your breathing in that first 15 minutes. That's what makes it easier for you. At the first 10, 15 minutes, you haven't figured out how to regulate that breathing. So you kind of catching your breath, right? And at least that's kind of what I figured out when I was doing it. And so normally what I've seen people do is when they first start running, especially when they hate it like us, when they feel that discomfort, they stop. And then they say, oh, it's too hard or whatever the reason is, right? They don't know that it's just everyone feels the exact same thing and they just have to push through that extra couple minutes for a few more times and then they'll be over it, right? Because they'll feel it over and over again. They know what they're going through. It's their warm-up, right?
Yeah.
So once they understand that piece, then it's only for 10 minutes and then I'm done.
Yeah.
And then it feels fine for, let's say, half an hour or whatever it is. That's what I've kind of noticed.
Yeah. Man, it's one of those things, and I want to tie into the conversation we were having like before we even started recording, man. It's one of those things where it's like you think about, man, like, am I the only one that feels this? Am I the only one that feels this way? It's like the first dose of that, because I remember when I first started, it was like so embarrassing. I used to smoke cigarettes, and I was smoking like a pack a day. And then the first day I quit cold turkey, and I was like, I gotta start running, because if I start running, I can't smoke. Like, I'll be fucked if I smoke cigarettes and I'm running. And like literally running from my parents' place to the end of the block, I was like, I threw up, man. Like, I was like, dude, I can't do this. So it was like, I just want to get around the block without throwing up. That was the first goal. Yeah. And I'm like, man, does anyone else have to deal with this? Like, why is it so hard for me?
No, it's not just hard for you, bro. I'll tell you exactly. I experienced a lot of that when I first started running. So let me just give you a bit of understanding about me in terms of when it comes to at least physical stuff. The last 15 years, I never quit anything I do. Ever. If I say I'm going to do it, I do it. When it comes to physical things, right? So like say when I first started lifting weights, right? I was like, when I first started lifting weights seriously, I was like 26, 27.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Dude, that's a late...
Like seriously.
When you're fucking jacked, man.
No, when I was serious.
Okay. So
like
you were lifting
I was
before
lifting.
That. Yeah.
Right? Like I was lifting weights. But when I said, okay, I'm going to take it to another level.
Was that before or after, like in the military or?
Oh, that was after. So it was right when I got into my job with law enforcement.
Okay.
Yeah. So around about that time. So then.
And you're like, I got to fucking get ready
for this. I was overweight.
Really?
Yeah. I was 232 pounds and I'm 5'9". And I wasn't,
shit.
And I have more muscle mass now than I did at that time.
What do you weigh now?
First thing this morning, probably 175.
So that's like a good 50 pounds, man.
Yeah, but
Am I right?
So yeah, and I'm
60 pounds.
I'm pretty lean right now too.
Yeah,
I'm probably in and around 9%, 10, something like that.
Yeah.
So like if I'm sitting around 15, I'm closer to 195 pounds.
Yeah,
I'm pretty thick.
Yeah. Right? No, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Man.
So when I was, but at the time, like when I was 27, 26, whatever that was, it was like 230.
You were super thick.
Yeah, and I wasn't lifting the same. So I was just, I was unhealthy.
Yeah.
Straight up.
One of those guys. Were you like in that like mindset where you're like, yo, I just got to lose a bunch of weight and then I can gain muscle? Is that where you were?
No, I was just like, I'm just gonna keep. I thought it was okay. I just didn't know that. I didn't know anything.
Right.
Like I had no clue. Right.
There was no point of reference.
No, I was like, oh, I can have abs. I don't know. Like I never had them before.
Dude, that's how I felt for a long time, man. Like, and even when I had them, I was like, fuck, it doesn't seem like they're good enough. That's what, like, you know. Like,
well, that's our own thing, right? Our getting in our own head, our own inner talk, our own self negative talk, right? I mean, I have a lot of that too, right? I'm sure a lot of guys do, especially guys who hit the gym a lot, right? I'm almost certain of it. But anyways, we're getting back to.
Sorry, man. I go off.
Hey,
like that.
I do too, man. What was I saying? I even totally forgot.
Talking about like getting into you were saying like
lifting.
when you first started lifting weights, like kind of when you first got into law enforcement.
Yeah, so when I started lifting and I started losing weight, and I kept losing weight and I wanted to get leaner. And then as soon as that happened, I entered my first competition. I did that within a year.
With bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Okay.
With bodybuilding. So I went all in right away. And then I did that, and I was doing bodybuilding for 6 years, 7 years. I competed almost every year. And then, and I placed every year in the provincials. Like I always.
Did you stay lean the whole year then?
No, so I didn't know the food and the diet as well back then either, right? So like I would get out of shape and then come back and get out of shape and come back and like just up and down, up and down. Then in 2013, I was like, you know what? I got second in provincials. Damn. And I was like, you know, I'm good, man. I'm not like, what's the point? What am I doing here? Right? Like, for what?
Risk to reward, kind of.
It wasn't worth it, right?
I feel you.
And I was like, I'm spending all this money on supplementation and food and no relationships with people and no meaningful ones because they're all getting screwed over by these diets and all, whatever it is you want to call it, right?
Yeah, I feel you.
And there was no like that would be okay if I was like getting a lot out of it. I was getting nothing.
Yeah.
So I got a trophy.
Couple trophies, couple medals, whatever. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not true. I got something. I got knowledge. The knowledge that I got from learning on how to eat, nutrition, all that kind of stuff, and the people that I met, and I took that knowledge with me. So that's not accurate. I did get something. So,
yeah.
To be fair. So then after that, then I stopped. I kept lifting, but then I tried to figure out my diet better, and I want to stay leaner more often, and that kind of started happening. And then I started when I was 39. I started jiu-jitsu.
Nice, man.
And that was before my daughter was born. So I started jiu-jitsu 2017 in March, and my daughter was born in May of that year. So then I didn't really get a lot of time after she was born. And but having said that, I did my first tournament that year in December.
Damn.
And I did okay. I did well enough to win. And then anyway, so I continued jiu-jitsu quite often, very frequently, and got to blue belt, but pandemic and whatnot. So really, if you think about it, I've been training jiu-jitsu for about 4 or 5 years. 5 years. Mm-hmm. This last year, not as much, but I'm competing next week.
Really?
Yes.
Is that what kind of competition is it?
It's a jiu-jitsu tournament. It's I think submission only.
Nice.
So
nice. Is it through CompNet or
no? It's AVA. So it's not a Gracie Baja. It's just an open sort of jiu-jitsu tournament, and so I'm doing gi and no gi. So we'll see what happens.
Submission only for both.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
So we'll see what happens. I haven't rolled in forever.
yeah, dude. I'm sure you'll do well, man. Especially like if you've got it nailed, like kind of like muscle memory. Like I'm just trying to. It's so difficult for me, but the one thing I love about it, like I just started last year. Someone asked me the other day, they're like, "How much time have you been doing jiu-jitsu?" And it's like I joined last April, so it's about a year. But I took 6 months off because my nose is like a little bit busted up, and then so I'm about 6 months deep into it, and I'm like you, man. Like once I start something, I'm obsessed over it.
Yeah.
Like it's all I think about. I'm like, man. Like this guy got me in this submission or I couldn't sweep him in this position for some reason. And I'm like, I obsess over it. Like, why the fuck is this guy beating me? Like, that's how I think. Like,
that's okay though.
And
that's okay,
dude. And so for me, like I'm coming like 4 times a week and at least, and it's the thing I love so much about it. This is what I was trying to say is it's like an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours if you stay after for rolling extra, right? But it's like there's nothing in your mind at that time. Like all those thoughts that kind of like when you go running and your mind is able to race, that doesn't happen when you do jiu-jitsu. Like you cannot think about anything other than I need to get this arm away from my neck. I need to get my arm away from this guy. Like
so. But here's another question: how do you feel when you get home after a good roll and a good sort of session and a good chat with your buddies or whatever it is? How do you feel when you get home?
Hungry, and then I feel like more clarity. Like usually what I do, like I come home and I'll write, like I have on the whiteboard there, like a list of shit that I have to take care of for the rest of the weekend. Like I feel like my brain is able to organize thoughts better. Like
so before you roll, you would say that it's not as much?
It's more of like a cluster in my brain.
Okay. So no, good. That's awesome. And then so
I wake up fired up, you know, like I wake up with high energy. I'm up early in the morning and I wake up and I'm like, okay, I got to get this done, that done. So like for me, like a workout is kind of like ease my body so that my mind can take over.
Do you feel like after you do jiu-jitsu, it's not just your body, but your mind is also relaxed? Like, because you're also thinking and trying to cerebral, you know, like use your mind power to figure out like your human chess kind of thing, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. And the other thing, like I said, because I got a busted nose, like I'm sure you've broken your nose before, and you know, like when you start breathing out of your mouth for a while, like it's kind of, my breathing's just not as good. Like so for me, like again, with jiu-jitsu, it makes me more conscientious of my breath, like okay, I've been breathing for an hour properly. You know what I mean? But I do see what you're saying. Like it makes kind of like a clarity within my mind.
Yeah. So I think maybe like if you have that feeling regularly, right, and you're not doing jiu-jitsu all the time, do you feel like that when you're not doing jiu-jitsu? Like do you feel a restless, like because you're thinking and you get what I'm saying? You feel what I'm saying? Yeah.
There's a couple things. I think like the main like benefits I see personally is I gravitate towards conflict. Like I'm like somebody like you, like when you were describing that guy earlier, like if I have a debate with someone or like a verbal conflict, I'm like, all right, let's do this. Like I love that. And so like for me, it's kind of like an outlet, like you were saying, like it's kind of like it forces that conflict.
Can I ask a question though?
Yeah.
So when you say, oh, I like that, what are you thinking in that moment when you get that excitement? You want
this is an opportunity to win.
Okay. So now let's think about that.
Yeah.
Right. Do Do you think that's the best way to have that conversation with that individual? No, I'm just asking. I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Genuinely, no.
Okay. So
that's how I feel in the moment, but I know that that's not the way to communicate.
No, because I relate to that exactly, right? Because that's why I'm asking, because I know exactly what you're saying, right? What I've recognized recently, when I've been trying to have those conversations or have those debates, and I want to win, because I always like that's just
any chance to win at anything.
Exactly.
I just have a competitive mind. Like I think of.
So I'm trying to frame it.
Lose.
I'm trying to frame it different than, because if I'm uber competitive, right? So I have to figure out ways to motivate myself to do something, right? Because essentially, doing this running, who's motivating me to do it?
Just you, man.
Exactly. So I sometimes I have to create ways to motivate myself to make my ass do 20K every day for a week, right? Like it's something that has to happen. So how am I going to do it? But that's a different thing than the conversation that you're having with the individual, right? Because so sometimes, like, if I have to create something in my head, initially when I was thinking about running across Canada, I was pissed.
Yeah,
I had to get pissed. I was like, "Fuck you, man! I can. Who says I can't do this?" But there's a time and place for that mentality for me. Can't hold that mentality for the entire duration for the next 3 years when I'm trying to present a different image of what we're trying to do. We're trying to engage with people and have more of a welcoming sort of feel, right? So I have to recognize when to change that tactic for me. So I would suggest in that conversation you're having with some people, and there's a winning thing. I think that's awesome, because now you're competitive and you know that. And now you can figure out, how can I win better? Right?
Yeah, and what does winning actually look like? That's
Yes.
what I actually had to ask myself more. Like I had to write about it in my journal.
Awesome.
Dude, I'm a big writer, and that's the only way I can figure shit out is through talking or writing. And like I'm kind of I relate a lot to what you said about when you're just on your grind. You're like, I'm just I like, if I could have it my way, like I would literally just make money and work out and do my thing and kind of like, be with my girlfriend, be with a couple friends, like not really talk to a lot of people. But I know that that's not the best way to be. And I know I have to be able to communicate with people that disagree with me, or just get along, or have a sense of community. So like, even just having this podcast, like you were saying, like you have to force yourself to talk to people. Like this is my version of that. And so I have to think about, like, what does winning actually look like? Like, is it like, oh, this person now is convinced of something that I was convinced of? Or is it like, hey, I really found that I can see where you're coming from. I can value, like, at least your point of view. Like, you've put some perspective into it, or you put some thought into it. It's not just like regurgitated information. Like, you actually thought about this. And then I'm like, okay, well, why did you think that? Maybe I'm wrong. Like, what does winning actually look like in the conversation, right? Like, is it like...
Or even... You can go even deeper and beyond that if you want to. What does winning or success look like in life? I mean, really, it can start from there, right? Because if you start there, everything else will be painted with that lens, right? So so what I had to do, so I'm not telling anyone what to do, but for me, this is what I had to do. I'm going to be running across Canada in the next 2025 to, raise awareness for mental health and raise funds for a group, first responders and veterans that need it, right? But that's just one sort of side of things. It's the awareness piece. It's engaging with people. It's trying to galvanize a bunch of people in a positive way, all these different types of things. So for me, it's taken a long time of learning and trying to get down this path to think this way. Like it doesn't happen overnight. Like I've been pretty, I don't know, prickly, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what's the better way to do things? A better way to do things is to not be as prickly. And if I can use whatever skills I have to do something positive, and then gets a lot more other people involved. Like, I mean, for example, like I'm trying to actively speak to more people, not just to get out of my comfort zone, but to also help myself. And if we can help others at the same time. So I asked myself a question with some direction from a friend of mine because I wanted to decide what I want to do with my life. And that's essentially what I was getting at with you. Like, okay, what's success? What's winning? What's that, right?
Yeah.
And it all started with my question to myself. What do I want to do with my life? How do I want to be happy? Right? And I also, one major question I've always asked myself for the last 10 years, and I want to affect positive change. I've been saying that to myself for the last 10 years. And I've realized where I work isn't really the way to do it, the way I want to do it. So I have to ask myself, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to be happy? So how I'm most happy is how I've realized this is after I ran that 100 kilometers on November 7th, I didn't receive anything. I didn't get a dime. I didn't, no, that's not true. I received something. I received love. And
for yourself or from others? Or
from others, right? And from myself. A little bit from myself. But I felt a lot from others. And that touched me. And I felt so much from everybody else. I was like, okay, this is nice.
Was it like just like congratulations? Like, hey, I'm so proud of you for doing this? Like,
it was more... It was me more connecting with the amount of money that we raised and where it's going to go and how it's going to help people. That, fundamentally, it was that. And then everything else kind of pushed that up and like added to it, enriched it. But fundamentally, it was that, because if I think about that right now, I'll start crying. Like, I'll get emotional because I know exactly how that can help somebody.
yeah.
Right? And we raised $21,000. That's a lot of money.
Dude, yeah.
To go here locally. I mean, that's a lot of money. So...
did that feel possible in the beginning?
Not even fucking close. I didn't even know I could...
Because that doesn't even seem like, when I hear about $20,000, just if you were to put that on the table... And I mean, it's relative to everybody, so like maybe other people don't relate to this, but like $20,000, I'm like, man, that's a big chunk of change,
a lot
man.
of money,
Especially
man.
For donations. Like,
no, that's a lot of money, man. And I never fundraised ever in my entire life. First time I ever did it. First time I ever ran. Like, I got to thank Joe Rogan or Cam Haines or somebody to make it aware that I even knew 100 kilometers to run was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dude, yeah.
The reason why I put together for myself to run across Canada was because I was thinking, how the hell does Cam Haines run 50 kilometers a day?
Yeah, dude, that seems unfathomable.
I spent 2 months trying to figure that out. And then as soon as I figured that out, I said, I'm running across Canada. So it was the question there that pushed me to figure out my own body, what I could do. And then as soon as I realized that, I was like, okay, now I can do it. So I can thank Cam Haines for that after I run across Canada.
That's insane.
Right? Number two, actually, should get back to what I was saying about, what were we saying?
We were just talking about like kind of like when you actually did that 100K, like you were just so touched, like you felt love, like you felt so much energy with that.
So it was the connection to people, right? And then through this process, through social media, a lot of connecting with a lot of people that I would have never had the connection.
That's like how we connected.
Yeah, like it's amazing. And then I'm also getting people that are helping me now from this community.
Yeah.
That I would have never had that opportunity, right? So anyways, the running across Canada run across from Chilliwack to YVR, that changed my life. And I thought, okay, so what do I want to do with my life with this? So I thought, okay, how do I do this? So everything I've been trying to do now has been trying to put the things in my life that are maybe not conducive to running across Canada, putting those things on pause or removing them, just to make things for me at the moment for the next 3 years, training and mentally, I need to make it easier. So that means I have to make some tough choices, and I've made some hard choices, which are necessary because the fundamental question I ended up asking myself is, or my friend, a friend of mine asked me, his name's Sean. Shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean, man.
Sean,
I heard a lot about you, man.
Sean Taylor is a good friend of mine, and for those of you out there who aren't familiar, and me and Mark were talking about him earlier. So he's a retired Special Forces operative, Tier 1 operator. He was a warrant officer in JTF-2. He was on 2 commandos. He was a Pathfinder. He was a Master Sniper, Airborne, Reconnaissance, all like whatever. Everything.
Yeah.
Right? And
basically a badass motherfucker.
Yeah. But physically and mentally, intellectually, he's on another level.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, he asked me a question. And it's a very significant question. I hope he's not angry that I'm throwing this out there. So if you are, sorry, bro. He asked me make sure that, okay, so when I was deciding what I wanted to do,
mm-hmm.
he was just not telling me what to do, but because he would never, like he's like a coach or a mentor or a friend, like however you want to call it. And he was just giving me some suggestions. He was like, hey, here's some things you could do. I mean, these are some possibilities. And, you know, anyway, so he asked me, he's like, once you make a decision and if what you want to do is you got to reflect on this question and don't say yes now, right? You're going to have to think on it for a while because it's a heavy question. I was like, okay, whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me the freaking thing. And he's like, are you, let me just get this right. Are you prepared to accept the burden to serve the collective? So the collective, I was like, oh yeah, sure, I can do that, man. And I was like, the collective. So I guess I got to define that, right? My parents, my family, my friends. He's like, no. Everyone
mm-hmm.
is the collective. So everyone should receive help, right? It doesn't matter. You don't get to decide that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get to decide that. If someone wants help or needs it and I can provide it, then I'm going to help them. But so I said yes initially, but I didn't really understand what that meant, right? So then
it's like the question, like, it's like if it's good for the hive, it's good for the bee, mm-hmm. right? If it's good for the community, then it's good for me. Like it should be good for me to do. If it's not good for the community, I shouldn't be doing this shit.
Exactly. So like, so it goes maybe a step higher than that. Then, so then, what does that mean for me specifically? Okay, well, now I know that I'm running across Canada. That's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sacrificing a lot to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
it's for you in a way.
It's for me in a way. Okay, so it is for me because, but it's not the primary thing for me. The primary thing for me is, or the primary thing is to bring this awareness piece. But
it's a lot of fucking pain and work.
Yeah. So it's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain, a lot of
and energy and time.
Money.
Time is already limited on this earth, and you're going to spend it running
for the next 3 years.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing that I'm okay with now, but I mean, people can understand. People who lift, bodybuilders, whatever. I have also had to change or manifest a different perspective of myself,
of your physique, of what you're going to look like,
who
how you're going to feel.
Yeah. So that was a process too,
dude. Yeah, that's it's something that I talk about with so many people that have been in bodybuilding. Where there's a book called Gorilla Suit by his name's just escaping me right now. But
we need Jamie. We need Jamie on here.
Yeah. I'm my own Jamie. Usually I look it up, but I'm like I don't want to be looking at a screen, man.
Yeah,
I want to stay
enough.
present.
No,
but,
for sure.
I'll throw it in the description or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like basically like the idea that you're in a gorilla suit, like you're kind of like you have to think about like, and that's something I struggle with as well because I do a lot of visualization. I do a lot of, and so if I look in the mirror and what I want in my visualization and what I see in the mirror aren't aligning, I'm like, man, what the fuck am I doing wrong? You know, like
can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, so like for me, like I have to think about like because I feel, and we can get into this as well because I kind of felt like for so long, like I don't know where I want to go with my life. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. Like who am I? Like who's Mark? Mm-hmm. Like you know, like I struggled with identity for so long, and so like I had to write down like okay, like, what do I want to do? What do I want to do on a daily basis? And how do I want to be remembered? What do I want to look like? When I look in the mirror, like, how do I want to dress? Like, what do I want to drive? What do I want to... And a lot of it's superficial stuff, but it's like also, you know, how do I want to interact with people? Who do I want to be surrounded by? What kind of people am I going to be around? You know, how am I going to react to certain situations? And so, like, I'll write down things like I want to be jacked. I want to be big. And then if I'm doing like a ton of running and a lot more jujitsu and my weightlifting drops to like once a week or twice a week, then obviously I'm going to be leaning out. I'm going to shrink. Like I'm not going to have that big wide back, you know? And then so I see myself in the mirror and I'm like, man, I thought my identity was like that big guy. I thought I was the big guy. Mm-hmm. And now I look and I'm like, you know, I'm not like a skinny guy or an average guy, but I'm not the big guy anymore, you know? Mm-hmm. And so like, it's so difficult I don't know if you had that same thing. Is that the same thing you're talking about? Like, it's okay, now I'm not as big. I'm not as strong.
So it's like that, right? So I'm, so for me, it was a lot of that. Like, I'm not as strong. The strong piece, I didn't care as much. It was more so the size and things like that.
The aesthetics.
So, but I overcame that a bit because I've been transitioning from that mentality for the last few years, really, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't abruptly stop it because I transitioned to Jiu Jitsu and I got smaller there, but it was different. But the fundamental question you're asking is correct, I think, is like, what do you want to do, right? And so for me, when I ask that question myself...
Do you have like a clear vision? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, I know exactly what I need to do and I know where I'm going. 1,000%. I know exactly what's happening.
And did you achieve that before or after you started working towards this goal? Because I still feel like, because sometimes like I have a good idea of where I want to be long term, but I'm asking you like actually like real talk.
I didn't know. I've been lost most of my life. I know now who I'm supposed to be, and I'm 44.
Yeah,
straight up. Like, no, I'm not BSing. Like, look, I work in law enforcement, but if I really want to reflect, and which I have, and if I want to really think about it, which I have, I shouldn't have even been in that career. It's not really who I am. I became that person, and it probably made my PTSD worse, right? So, no, I don't regret it. It was an amazing career, and it still is an amazing career. I'm still working there. It's awesome. I can't say anything bad about it. But I think I'm not meant for that. And I know that now. And it took a long time to get here, man. I'm telling you straight up. I didn't really feel this confident with what I'm doing right now until... like January.
Yeah.
Because there was a few things started really solidifying in what the goals are. And then when those things started happening, I was like, okay, cool. It's working. But I've been grinding on this journey for over a year to a documentary thing. Mm-hmm. Trying to get people to... at first it wasn't even that. And okay, so just to really illustrate it, if you saw Nims die on Joe Rogan, did you watch it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Watch that. Right?
It was like 2 days ago, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago. Yeah, watch it when you can. Now, his story's different than mine, but the essence is exactly the same. Mm-hmm. I feel him. I know exactly what he's talking about because I'm doing exactly the same thing. Just different, like sort of execution. It's not a mountains, and I think what he's doing is probably crazier what he did. But essentially, for me, this is 14 Peaks for me. I've never run.
Yeah,
I'm not a special forces guy. I'm some 44-year-old guy who was pretty messed up for most of my life, and then now just really started getting things in order and really sorting it out. And that's what I want to show people, right? Like people may think I've had my shit together most of my life, but not really, man. I've been fucked up most of my life. Like I'm just barely keeping it together. And most people I think do that. I think most people are doing that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a better way to do it. At least I hope so, because I'm trying to figure it out. And I'm almost 100% confident that by the end of this year, I'll be 100% confident everything's rolling. I just got to execute this year perfectly. Mm-hmm. And what execute perfectly means to me is just do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to, I got 8 races I'm doing this year, totaling 840 kilometers, starting at the end of them. And some of them are races and some of them are just charity sort of runs. But, I've never done that before. I haven't traveled for to do races before. I'm going to be going to Toronto. I'm going to Edmonton. I'm going to Manning Park to do a 43 miles up Manning Park. That's going to that's going to be rough.
Yep.
And so I'm doing a lot of these crazy things that I've never done before. But my perfection for this is to learn. So this year's a learning year. This year's to learn what is my red line for these kind of running things, and also to get exposure, meet more people, learn from them, talk to them, share my story, hear their stories. Like that's going to be awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then also, raise the money for the charity. But really, this year I expect to bomb, like really fuck up at 1 or 2 races this year. But that's
why do you say that?
I've never done it.
Okay.
I'm not perfect. I've never done it.
Yeah.
I mean, like you go into your first jiu-jitsu tournament, if
that's something I'm thinking about. It's something I'm thinking about as a white belt. I'm like, man, I want to get some reps in.
You should. And if you lose, cool, right? It's no problem with that, because a lot of people, like, it's like you go into your first jiu-jitsu tournament. I mean, a lot of people go into it just to roll, like to feel it. I didn't go into it expecting to win my first tournament. Like went in there just to feel it, experience it. What does it feel like? How am I gonna react in these emotions before the fight and during the fight and then after the fight? How exhausted am I gonna be after that first one based on the adrenaline? Like all these other things that you don't know. So like, yeah, I can run. I get the basic idea. I can train for it, but in the heat of the moment, in a different sort of environment, traveling somewhere, I don't know. That could be, I could mess up, or I could be really slow, or
could be a temperature change, could be some conditions.
Who knows? But that's awesome.
Yeah.
Because now I can download that information. I have it for next time.
Yeah.
And then next time I do something else, if it bomb out there, then no, or like every opportunity to, like, as long as it's not catastrophic, as long as it's not like people getting killed.
Yeah.
And you can learn from it. So I'm trying to take that mentality with everything as well. So with this year, I'm okay with bombing out. It's cool because I've never done it. And really, I've been talking to a few people who do these types of things regularly. And I was talking to this guy named Hector Rodriguez. He's an ultra marathoner in San Diego, and he's done the Moab 240, and he's done like some crazy ultras, like 300 miles.
The Moab, that's the one that Goggins talks about. It's like his first one, I think.
Goggins done it, Haynes has done it, Courtney DeWalter, like all these people. Like it's massive. And you can only get invited to it. You can't just join it.
Right. Yeah. That was the one you had to qualify for.
Yeah. So you got to do a bunch of runs before you even get into it. So anyways, this guy, he's a legit guy. I had a chat with him a week or two ago, and just picking people's brains that I would never meet. It's just cool. Anyway, so I was telling him, I was like, hey, I got these things planned, like, and I just came up with these myself. I was like, okay, I'll just do these, whatever. Like, no one told me to do that, just picked them. And I go, hey man, is this like kind of normal? And he's like, no, man, I mean, you've never run before, so I guess that's a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
So, it's a pretty big workload, man.
Yeah. And then I was talking to my Sean, and I go, hey man, what do you think? He goes, well, you picked your poison, so execute.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, man. So that's where I'm at with the running and the documentary. And the documentary is really to show my story and everyone who's around me helping me and their stories and the positivity that we can bring out of it. And that's it, man.
Yeah. And so, like, how do you think, because yours is very specific, like, it's definitely, like, not everybody's going to become an endurance athlete, or not even everyone's going to have, like, kind of like a physical feat that they have to overcome. Maybe it's mental, maybe it's spiritual, maybe it's, in a relationship, maybe whatever it is. But, like, how do you think that or maybe but, like, how did you find that direction? Because I feel like for young people, especially, like, men and women, like, I feel like there's so many people that, maybe, and it's just something that I'm experiencing in my 20s and a lot of my other buddies are, but it's like this constant battle of like, where's my place? What the fuck am I going to do? What's my contribution to the community? Like, how can I add?
Okay.
Like, how did you get to like the run? How did you find that?
Yeah, man. Fuck, it's a good question, man.
Because we all go through that, and that's
we do. Well, I had to hit a rock bottom, right? So, look. The reality is, I had a career, or I have a career, right? I work in law enforcement. Like, from outside, looks great. And when I went through my separation and divorce, I had to do some hard, looking in the mirror, right? And it was a lot of work. So I don't think a lot of people have the opportunity or the time to spend as I did. Because of the pandemic, everything is all kind of, it was almost like a perfect storm for me to think about these things. And it doesn't hurt that I come from a community, the Sikh community, which I'm not an overly religious individual at all, but there are tenets within that community that I live by still. And the Sikh community's one of its fundamental tenets is service, right? And any kind of certain like the Sikh community, you see them in the military, you see them in policing and any type of service. So it's not a foreign concept for me to think that way. Because my parents would talk about these services. I've had multiple family members that were serving in either military or in policing, be it not in Canada, but in India or in British Indian Army. So, there were those stories of that kind of service and other family members that served the community, through donations or whatever, right? But I wasn't connected to that. I was always thinking physically. And for me, I was at work, I was working. I just thought positivity. I was like, okay, I'm getting better at running. What can I do to leverage this for positivity? That was it. So I started with that question. So I was doing something already, right? And I was doing something positive, like just physical. And if I was going to do it anyways, I thought, how do I not connect that with something positive? Like if you just think that. So when I thought that, then I was like, okay, it's a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, why wouldn't I, if I'm already running, if I'm already training, and if I want to enter a 100-kilometer race, why am I going to pay someone else? Right? And if I can do something positive to help my community and people around me, then why don't I do that?
Yeah, why don't I raise the funds instead of contributing my $5, $20, $50? Like, I think I could get more.
Yeah. So I thought, like, that was a part of it. Like, that wasn't just the sole reason I thought of it, but that was kind of the thought process. I was like, okay, I can, like, why would I enter? Initially, that was the idea. Like, straight up. Like, I was thinking about, maybe I can start an ultra marathon thing, and I'll charge some money, and then we'll get people all over Canada will enter, and they'll run, and this, that, and the other, and maybe a partial proceeds. I was doing all this kind of craziness.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then, I was just like, whatever, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah.
Because it was almost too much, and it was getting a little overwhelming. And then I was trying to get other groups involved, and I was just like, you know what, it was getting too complicated, and it was becoming something that it shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, I'll just do this.
It's becoming too much of like a headache or a business or like...
Yeah, and it was like the focus was starting to change, and I want the focus to be awareness for the group, for veterans and first responders, PTSD and mental health awareness. And I know initially there's been focus on me, but now I want to eventually, once we start really documenting a lot of this stuff, a lot of the focus when the documentary gets released, I'll try to at least focus on a lot of other people, not so much on me. I mean, yeah, obviously I'll be the centerpiece of it.
Yeah.
But I want to also highlight a lot of the people, because without them, for sure, like, I'm not even close to being where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sure after I run across Canada, there'll be a whole bunch of other people that are going to be part of that list.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not doing this, like, there's no way or in a million years anyone can do this alone. At least I can't.
Yeah.
I need people to help me. And what I know I can do is I can grind, I can work. To my detriment, I can almost work too hard physically. So that's why I need to bring other people in.
Yeah.
To kind of check me at certain parts.
Yeah.
Because I have to be aware of that too, right? I'm also kind of thinking of myself initially as a business, as a sole proprietor.
Yeah.
And if I'm a business or a company or a team, right, whatever you want to call it, then I have to be that leader of that team initially, right? And so I have to become a better leader. So I have to start also training that.
Yeah.
So it's not just I'm just training my body, right? What's going to happen? Okay, I'll ask you. In 2 years, like after I run across Canada, let's say, what do you think would happen? Like in terms of like, I run across Canada, let's say, and a bunch of money gets raised, and there's a whole bunch of awareness, and now you're Sachin. What do you do? What happens?
Yeah. Do we go bigger?
Like, I mean,
do we do it again?
Or like in terms of opportunities, what opportunities are available now? How do I do things even bigger?
Yeah.
right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, do we make it bigger now? Like,
well, I mean, here's another thing. What after doing something like that, if you raise a few $100,000 and bring a bunch of awareness and all that kind of stuff. Look, there's book deals, there's that documentary, you get all that kind of stuff. Then you get speaking arrangements. You speak to different, all these different opportunities start precipitating out of them, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I asked myself, what do I want to do? I want to serve the best way I can. So service for me is not just donating, or it's not just running 100 kilometers, but it's also developing myself to the best I can be, so I can interpret any of the knowledge that I'm getting out of any types of books, and through my experiences, I can then interpret it my own way and deliver that to people.
And in a way that they can digest
yes.
it, where it resonates with them.
Well, look, like we've said before, like I may not be for everyone, you may not be, but there are people out there that might resonate with someone like me. Then cool. Even if it's one person, I don't care.
Yeah, I think more than one person will resonate with you, man.
No, but I mean, either way, it doesn't really matter so much. I just feel good doing this.
Yeah.
And it feels nice to, like, I don't need a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? I'll be straight up. I don't have much.
Yeah.
Right. I've downsized a lot, and my daughter gets most of my money.
Yeah.
Right. I'm divorced, and I have no problem whatsoever with it.
Yeah.
It's cool. Whatever.
Again, that's another way of providing.
Yeah. So I'm okay with, like, just living my life as simple as possible, at least for the time being, for the next 3-4 years, because I'm devoting myself to this mission.
I love that.
Like 100%. Like, I can't go into the details at this time because there's some things are kind of moving parts. But like, yeah, I'm all in. Yeah. And so there's no direction other than I'm running across Canada. Now, people could be around for that or not. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Even if I have to pay for it myself, it's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I came to that realization, so that was also part of my process of thinking and getting myself prepared. I had to be like, man, because I was stressing, man. I was like, fuck, how am I going to, like, what if no one's going to jump in? How am I going to pay for this? All these things are getting through my head, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't, with those distractions, my anxiety would start really slowing me down. So I was like, fuck, man, I got to figure this out so that I can get rid of that tension and just keep moving.
Yeah.
Right? So then I was like, okay, worst case scenario, I take a fucking loan. Or I use, like, some savings to pay for the entire thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. All right, good. Done. Then I stopped stressing about it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I committed to that, because at the end of the day,
I'm mentally prepared for worst case scenario.
That's it. Now, I doubt, based on the way things are tracking and the trajectory I've seen so far, and people kind of entering the scene a little bit.
The 20 G's right off the bat is kind of like, okay, I might not have to pay for my own flight.
Well, I mean, look, yeah. I mean, look, it's pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I think things will, play out pretty well for a lot of people. And it's just yeah. I mean, it's positive. I mean, people like this, right? Like,
I love it.
All I'm doing really is I just figured out a skill set for me. It's perfect storm, really. I'm divorced. I have a kid who's will be old enough to be okay when I'm gone. She's supported by a lot of people around her, so that's not a tension for me. I can find flexibility with my work. So there's a lot of things that I can do that a lot of people can't. It's not the physical piece.
It's just working in your favor.
It's kind of working in my favor to do it, right? Like, so things are kind of falling into place where it's like, I kind of have to do it. Like, not have to, like, in a negative way, but like, I feel an obligation to do it.
You in 10 years would be like, bro, you had the perfect fucking opportunity.
And you didn't do it.
And you squandered it.
Yeah, and you decided you didn't want to help people because it was hard.
Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I fucking really resonate with that.
You know what I mean? Oh, you don't want to help a bunch of people because you're broke?
Because it
fucking
hurt?
Loser?
Yeah.
Because you're like, because I'm like,
it's fucking scary.
It's scary. Like, okay, oh yeah. So like, now I think of it that way. It's like, look, I mean, life is tough, but life is always tough.
Yeah.
It's not like so I'm 44. It's not like it was easy before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just a different tough now.
Yeah.
It's always hard. Life is never
adversity.
Yeah, it's a different adversity. So like what I've also learned through this journey is that your mental capacity increases not just with mental stress, but with also physical stress. Mm-hmm. So what you're building when you're doing a lot of ultras or stressing your body with jiu-jitsu or like really constantly doing that, and when you provide yourself with the rest and recovery, you're developing and increasing your resolve and resiliency. That's exactly what you're doing, scientifically proven, physiologically and psychologically. So now when you take into account, let's say if you're going through a major depressive episode, some people drink, right?
Yeah.
So when they do that, they're depriving themselves from an opportunity to develop resiliency. So that's also scientifically proven. So when you go through a major depressive episode or you have some serious sort of like anxiety attack or something, you need to feel every bit of that, sit inside of that, and fucking swim around in it, do everything you need to do.
Yeah.
But don't discard it. Don't leave it to stay in that. It sucks. It's shit. It's garbage. It might last for 2 or 3 days. But afterwards, you've built resiliency. So that has been super hard for me for many, 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 many years. I would drink. I would do something, whatever, right? But recently, over the last little while, what I've learned is, or not learned, what I've connected, I just thought of it differently. I just reframed it, and then it made it a lot easier. So I reframed it in this way. I just said, okay, well, I'm a gym rat, right? I'm a fucking workout guy, right?
Yeah.
So if I work out and I don't have my protein after and sleep properly, I'm fucked. Like
or
I'm
stretch.
I'm on it.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I not on it when I'm developing my brain? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So like I'm on it when I need to get a massage or ice bath or something. But what I can't go see a psychologist? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a massage for my brain. So I am employing every single strategy from a holistic perspective on myself. Mm-hmm. Physically, mentally. I'm not there yet with the spiritual and all that, but I'm working on mindfulness. I'm working on all the other elements there so that I'm a full
there's
person.
No holes in the game.
There's no holes in the game, right? Like you want to be fully as much realized as possible so you can help people, right? My goal now is physically I'm going to run, but I'm reading as much as I can now so I can help people after when I get the opportunity to do so. So after I run across Canada, I'm sure there's going to be major opportunities to speak to people and help as many people as possible. I want to do my job properly in 2 or 3 or 4 years. So I got to start now.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now. Like this year is really, I'm not worried about any of the running. That stuff isn't hard for me. Like it's hard physically and all that kind of stuff. It's difficult, but it's not hard to get up for.
It's not your difficult discipline.
My difficult discipline is being disciplined with sitting down and reading.
Yeah.
Right? So people might say, oh, you're so disciplined. Yeah, with what I like.
Yeah. I'm the exact same, man.
You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean, like I'm older now, so I can choose and pick what I like. So if I don't like reading, why don't I like reading? Maybe I wasn't reading the books that I like.
Yeah.
So maybe because I'm not dumb. We know that.
Yeah.
I'm not lazy.
Yeah, definitely not.
And the
lazy.
reason why I'm saying that is because I've been told that my entire life.
And that's probably what you tell yourself too sometimes.
Yeah.
You're like, man, I can't read. I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I'm bad at reading.
Yeah.
I suck at reading.
I'm stupid.
Yeah.
I'm not that bright.
I'm not book smart.
Yeah.
That's what I used to tell myself.
I'm street smart.
I'm street smart.
Okay,
I'm
what
not
the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm just what? I'm not a drug dealer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean,
like I grew up in a suburb of Richmond, dude. Like it's like. How street smart are you really? Like, you know the street name, baby.
Yeah,
like,
right? Number 5 road.
Yeah,
What's up? No, but I mean, I think that's an ego piece too, right? We got to settle down with our egos, right? And be like, realistically okay. And look, I have been told most of my life, okay, lazy, this, that, and the other. And then I was talking to Sean. I was like, he made a comment to me. He was like, hey man, did you read this thing? That, just kind of made a comment. I was like, no man, got this going on. He was like, yeah, well, he didn't say anything negative, but I was like, yeah, I know, man, I'm fucking lazy. I should have did it, right? He's like, no, you're not lazy. You didn't find, what did he say? He said, you're not lazy. You just haven't found anything that interested you yet. Mm-hmm. That's all. And So what that is just an observation. He's not trying to pump my tires. It's true.
Yeah.
It's a fact. It's not someone trying to kiss my eye or pump my tires.
Or maybe you just haven't applied yourself.
Yeah. Like or maybe I haven't
tried.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, you never apply yourself if you've been told you can't do something for multiple years.
Exactly.
Whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying me specifically, but anybody. That's very easy for that to happen.
Yeah.
So now I'm just like, okay, shit, every 15 minutes every morning, or sometimes more, whatever I want to do. I have either 4 or 5 books going at the same time.
Wow.
So I'll have like a book on the coffee table. I got a book in the washroom. I got a book next to my bed, and then I got one on Audible right now. So I'm just kind of just wherever I'm going. Like I'm not focused on specific. Okay, I'm going to read this one. But if I'm okay, I'm going for a run. Okay, I'll just listen to the new that Jocko book that. What's that one book I'm reading right now?
Dichotomy of Leadership.
Yeah, I think it's that one.
That's the one I'm listening to.
Yeah, that one. And so I just finished. Before I started that one, I finished a critical thinking book.
Nice.
So how to improve your critical thinking. And then right now I'm on my coffee table. I'm reading what's it called again? It's Unfuck Your Brain.
Unfuck Yourself, I think.
Unfuck Your
Mark
Brain.
Manson.
No, it's called Unfuck Your Brain, and it's got.
Hold on, I'm gonna stop to just pee.
Yeah,
you find that.
Yeah, I'll find it. What's it called here? Unfuck Your Brain. The book's called Unfuck Your Brain, so I'm reading that one too. And
who's it by?
It's a super easy read too. It's a very quick read. I'm just kind of slowly reading it, but stand by.
All good, man. Were you always like a reader?
I mean, I liked reading, but more like fantasy, sci-fi stuff, and I did like reading. I just never continued, to be honest. What's the book called? It's called Unfuck Your Brain. It's written by Dr. Faith Harper.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is basically a simple book, quick read, nothing crazy, right? But I'm just trying to understand myself better, and then speak to as many people as possible, so I can, I don't know, just speak to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I resonate with that a lot, actually, because when I first started this podcast, I kind of, my motivation was to speak to the type of person that I was when I was suffering, like in my eyes, like the most. Mm-hmm. And I guess the earliest that happened with me was like in high school, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I think the same way as you. Like it was like I feel like I was given the right information, but it wasn't told to me by maybe the right person or in the right way. And so for me, that was like my biggest thing is I remember kind of thinking to myself, like, if I'm going to keep going with this life, like I want to try and alleviate that same feeling that I had for someone else. Like if I can do that just for one kid out there to just be like, holy shit, man, like I'm not alone. Like, I'm not the only one that feels like this. Mm-hmm. I'm not the only one that feels. And that's why I was asking about like the feeling lost or feeling like with no purpose. Because so many people ask me that all the time. They're like, and I'm like, man, I don't even 100% know. Like I know what I want to do. Like I know the way I want to impact people. I can see that vision.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, I think if you can ask yourself what you want to do and you can see that vision, then you know what you want to do. Mm-hmm. I only did that recently, really, and my visions were really small, nothing really major. I never asked really good questions. I thought I was fine. I had a good job, all these things. But I fundamentally wanted to affect change. Mm-hmm. So maybe it was the question I was asking that made me lost. Because if I wanted to affect change, that means everything I've done in my entire life really isn't doing it. Because I wanted to affect positive change. And for me, that has to be on a larger scale. Because I don't know, for me, I need that kind of validation, I suppose.
Yeah.
It makes me, that's probably part of it, right? Maybe to prove something or whatever, part of that process. But I asked myself that question. Then I also started asking, I want to transcend what I'm currently doing. So those were 2 major questions I asked, which absolutely changes the direction of how you look. Because it doesn't say, oh, yeah, I want to get this job so I can buy this car. Those 2 questions don't allow that. from when I ask them to myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I ask those questions to myself, they're more of like an impactful thing. How many people can we touch, right, in a positive way?
Mm-hmm.
Not like, oh man, I want to get this car. Okay, so how do I want to get this shit? I want to transcend. I want to make millions of dollars. No, man, I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, really, money doesn't motivate me. Like, I like money. Don't get me wrong. I like nice things. I don't have a lot of nice things, which is fine. I'm okay with that.
Dude, yeah, I
But
feel you.
but what I mean is like, it's not a driving force for me. If it comes, cool. I'm not going to say, oh, no money.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be my driving force. My driving force is I want to be a positive impact. I want to do good things for people and help as much as I possibly can. And then in turn, they can help people. Like just that pay it forward sort of mentality. Because people are helping me, man. 100% I'm going to pass that forward. Whatever I learn, I'm going to pass that forward. So so those questions, I think, change it. Mm-hmm. So maybe then when people are asking you, you might have to ask them, well, what question are you asking yourself?
Yeah, like what's missing for you? What do you think is missing maybe?
Okay, so maybe the people you're speaking to are younger probably, right?
Mm.
Like
yeah,
younger than me. Younger than me.
Yeah.
Right? So in their mid to late 20s?
Yeah.
Okay. Mid to late 20s. So maybe most, and I don't know, I don't hang around a lot of mid to late 20s anymore, so correct me if I'm wrong.
But you've been there.
I've been there. So when I was that age, a lot of superficial mentality. So I don't know if that's changed a bit.
No.
Okay, so now it would be harder for you, but not impossible, for you to elevate yourself amongst them so that you
harder than it was for you, or harder
no,
I'm me to just exist.
I don't even care about me anymore. I'm talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if you were going to do something to affect change or whatever you wanted to do, right? And I'm going to use you as an example, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind at all, man.
So now you're on a path now where you're trying to open your mind, you're trying to read things, you're trying to add to your repertoire, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to fill out holes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably suspect that most of your colleagues or peers aren't doing the same thing.
Yeah, for the most part. Like, I'm trying to surround myself with other people that are.
But it's okay.
But like the people that I hang out with, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. I'm just like, that's the reality, right? I mean, odds are they're not.
Yeah. It's not very common.
No. A few are, and some of them may be, but those people are probably getting their master's degree or PhD or whatever the case may be.
Just mastering their trade. Yeah.
Whatever it is, right? So, but having said that, that gives you a lot of opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm.
A ton. And so what I would suggest maybe is like continue doing what you're doing and continue reading and broaden your mind and speaking to as many people as possible, and maybe trying to pass on some of that knowledge that you get to some of the people around you, but not falling into the traps that they may, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you almost kind of want to not be above them, because we're not.
Yeah, no.
But you almost want to be like someone they can turn to if they need something. But you're not the person going there to tell them.
Yeah.
If they ever need your assistance, they know where to find you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Like not giving unsolicited advice.
Right.
And living the way, because like that's like the first couple years I started kind of like I call it like cleaning up my life, or like kind of getting myself in a better position. Like I thought it was like my opportunity to like, oh, I've improved in this way, so now I should tell everybody about that. And I realized in the last like 6 to 7 months, it's like, dude, stop talking about it. Like there's this quote, like I've been reading a lot of Stoic philosophy.
Awesome.
And there's this quote he said, like it's like, I think it's Epictetus or Seneca, where he says, don't talk about your philosophy, embody it. And it's like, I want to get to the point where, like where you're at, where it's like people are probably coming to you being like, yo, how do you do this? Like, how do you, like how I am, like where it's like, how do you get into that? Like, where did you come? Like, how did that happen? Like,
no, you're not that far off of me. I'm not that far ahead of you, bro.
It definitely feels like it, man.
Yeah, but I mean, listen, I'm just a little bit older than you. That's it. Really, honestly. When I was, okay, you're 27? I was fucked.
I will be in a couple months.
So when I was 26, 27, I was fucked. So, I mean,
that's how I feel, right? Like, cause I'm like, man, why did I fucking start so late? Like,
no, but listen, that's fine. That's fair. You could ask those questions.
like I beat myself up a lot.
Don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. And look, it's easy for me to say because I do it.
Yeah.
But
it's common, man.
No, I beat myself up too, but not as much, because you got to see what you do that's positive too, right? And no one's perfect. None of us are. We all fuck up, and some of us fuck up more than others, right? But that's okay. And look, I've messed up massive amounts. Like super massive amount. Like I'm telling you, bro.
Yeah.
Epic amounts. That's okay if you own them. Right? And if you own them and accept your responsibility in whatever those things are, and ensure that you can do your best not to do them again, whatever those things are, and then you move forward, and that's all you can do. You move forward, and you don't beat yourself up, because, we make mistakes. And as long as you learn from those mistakes, that's it. That's what it's about, right? Like, that's why you do things, to get better. Everything that you do for the first time, you're going to suck. Mm-hmm. Even if you're good at it, lucky the first time, you're still going to suck, because you can get better from that first time, right? So, that goes the same with friendship, with marriages, with girlfriends, with buddies, with every fucking thing. So you almost, if you want to set yourself apart, it's tiring, but you have to do it with everything. Mm-hmm. So like this podcast. So had I been on this podcast a month ago, it would have been a little bit less polished. Right?
Yeah.
For me.
But you've been putting in reps.
I've been putting in reps. I've been watching my reps. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to improve for me, but still be authentic to who I am. But I also understand that this is going to be on camera. So then I also want to make sure that I'm not distracting to the person who's watching it. And I want to be able to speak thoughtfully and think about what I say, and hopefully say it in a way that it's resonates with people. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's like palatable.
Yeah. So, and I'm not perfect. I'm still working on it, like everything that I'm trying to do. And I think if I'm going to suggest anything to anyone, I think that's probably the way to do things. At least for me, it has been. And I think for exceptional people, like I try to find really exceptional people. And Sean, a friend of mine, is one of them. And that's how he lives his life, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I got another friend of mine, Seb Lavoie. He's a retired RCMP officer. Also, he was you know what ERT is?
Emergency Response Team?
Yeah, so he was team leader for 7 years, and he was on the team for 12. So highly experienced in hostile negotiation, all the kind of cool, awesome, kind of fun things, right?
Mm-hmm. It's all good, man. It's all good. Don't worry. You're all good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay,
I was like, what was going on there? I pick his brain too, because he's exceptional at pretty much everything he does, and he's been awesome for a long time. Yeah. I'm only trying to get awesome.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to pick these people's brains, right? So I'm on the path. I'm not there, even close to being there, or even, I don't even, look, man, we're never there. You're just dead then.
Yeah.
You're always grinding. It sounds hard, but it's not.
Yeah.
Like it sounds grinding. Maybe we need to come up with a better word.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? So that people do it more. Because grinding sounds tough.
It sounds brutal.
We need to market it better.
Yeah.
Because all it is just like, if you're already good at something, get better at it.
It's just doing it.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, with activity, let's say, okay, running's my thing now, let's say, right? Okay, now I'm a runner. I like it. Okay, how do I get better at it now? Let's think about how to get better at it. Because I'm not the best. Let's get better. Now I'll figure out, let's find some people let's go call UBC if there's any sports mechanics people, anyone who's going to donate their time, like whatever. Start thinking about that. But that's something I already do. Mm-hmm. Let's get better. Okay, now what do I don't do? Let's get better at that now too. I don't read. Okay, let's get better at that. Now what does reading do at the same time? If you're a voracious reader.
That's what I was going to ask you. Because I have my own theory and I have my own idea, but I was going to ask you, why? Because a lot of people, they're going to be like, when you start cleaning up your life and you're like, okay, you got to, maybe journal and get a little bit more in touch with your emotions. You got to be reading. You got to be talking a lot more. There's a lot of people that are going to ask the question, like, and this is where I was in the very beginning. It's like, why would I start reading? And why would I wake up earlier? And why would I do these things? Like, why would I make my bed or keep my room clean? Like, why does that going to impact me getting my money up or me getting better at running?
I'll tell you. You ever heard of skill stacking?
Yeah.
Okay. So essentially that. So you read 15 minutes every day, you journal every single day, and you fill out all the gaps so I can write my book one day. Essentially, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because if you're reading and writing every single day, and then you're also trying to expand other things at the same time that help that cause, which is i.e. meeting people, talking to people, traveling, reading, writing, all these things, that's considered skill stacking on top of each other so you can improve another skill set that isn't really straight related to it. So now I can write. But I wasn't really focused on writing so much. I can write a book, right? So like every single day I use my Instagram as a journal.
Yeah,
and
you throw your workouts on there. You throw...
Well, it's more now, it's changing. I'm not even doing workouts really. It's more like what I'm thinking about for the day and what I can impart that might make sense to somebody. And I might use the lens of a workout. So let's say, for example, if I'm using a 100-kilometer run, I might use that as the vessel to tell the story of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So, but these are all things that I'm learning now just by practicing reading 15 minutes every day and then also journaling. So that's what I mean. Like that's why you want to read.
Yeah.
And also this is another example that my friend Sean kind of threw at me in one of our conversations. And this might be helpful for you and some of your listeners, I think. So if you were to look at me, you'd be like, oh, this guy's got his shit together. If you just look, right, based on optics maybe, whatever, and how I speak, maybe sounds like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, you can look at me like a piece of armor, some badass armor, fucking shiny.
Yeah, you got your gorilla suit.
Yeah, impenetrable.
Yeah.
But it's empty. So what's the use of an empty piece of armor?
It's just a vessel.
It's a fucking nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I have to fill up my armor so that I can use it. So when I'm speaking on this microphone and I'm talking to you or anybody who's listening, they're paying attention. That's why reading, writing, and trying to learn as much as you possibly can is important. Maybe not for an average person who doesn't want to do anything, but hey, you shouldn't be an average person that doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like an awesome life.
Everyone should be better at whatever they are doing.
Yeah.
Full stop, period. If you're not, then I don't want to know you.
Yeah.
And not to be mean, it's just there's nothing I can help you with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why am I talking to you? Right?
There was a manager when I worked at the gym. He used to come in and say, like, never tell me that you're operating at 100% because that means we can't progress from here. Like, there's nowhere I can take you. You're not coachable. Like, there's no way I can advance you. If you're 100% everywhere already, like, you're running at 100%, like, you're capped.
Yeah, and well, here's the other thing: you're not being honest,
right? And maybe you could make your game a bit more efficient. Yeah.
You're not being honest with yourself if you're saying you're 100%. Because look, I'll tell you right now, I'm not 100%. I'm not sleeping enough.
Yeah.
So how can I be 100%? Right there, done.
Yeah.
With anything I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I'm not.
Yeah.
You got to look at everything if you're going to say you're 100%. Right? So you can do the best with what you got, right? And you can plan for the best and hope, or plan for the worst and hope for the best, right? But yeah, man. I mean, I think the empty armor analogy is fitting for people like us, right? We're shiny and we want to fucking we think we're hot shit, right? And we got this, that, and the other. Man, we ain't shit. We're the shiny piece, but we can be massive if we fill out that armor, because then everyone will look. We're like a beacon then, a real proper one. Not a superficial fake one where we're not trying to help people holistically in a proper way. We want to be able to help people and not expect anything in return. Don't expect a single fucking thing. That's the goal, right? Not to expect a thing. If you get something in return, fine, cool, right? But don't expect anything. That's what I'm trying to impart and fully embody myself to. I don't want anything in return. If you feel like you need to give me something, don't. We're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And do you think like when do you think you kind of started making that shift of your like kind of like your thought process or like your kind of perspective? Because I remember like when before we started recording, you were talking about like, you know, I have a tough time relating to people. I have a tough time kind of feeling like this person gets me. Like I feel like when were you able to start to maybe connect with people or out just look at your outlook, which was I feel alone?
So probably over the last couple of years, I haven't really drank much. And not that I was an alcoholic. I abused alcohol for sure whenever I used to party and go out and whatever, right?
Mm.
But through therapy and through figuring out myself better, I haven't needed to cope with other things as like drinking. Like it was a lot of coping mechanisms, right?
What were you coping with, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, a lot of my...
I don't mean to pry.
No, it's fine. No, my anxiety, depression, all these things, but I didn't know what it was, right? So then I also have a lot of childhood trauma that I'm not going to give details about, but what I can say is that, childhood trauma, physical and emotional kind of stuff, right?
Sure.
So I thought most of my life was somewhat normal, but now reflecting back on a lot of things, and a lot of things weren't, and my reactions to things weren't. I wasn't normal,
but you accepted them.
I thought I was just kind of whatever, right? Normal. So I thought my interactions with people were normal, but then, I'm 44. I grew up in Toronto and some parts in the States, and as a brown kid, back then it wasn't pleasant.
Yeah.
And then my brother, I have an older brother, and it was worse for him.
Yeah.
So that also affects things, right? And then being picked on, bullied for multiple years, and then it just whatever, right? Those things, like a lot of people have them, they experience them. For me, it did affect me, right? If I'm going to be honest, a lot of that stuff affected me, and I didn't know or wasn't aware that it did.
Yeah,
but the reality, it did, and I never addressed anything. Only until I had the time to breathe when I got separated and divorced. So my whole life I was almost like...
Was it more like you had time to breathe, or you were forced, like you got to start fucking breathing right now?
Maybe a combination of both. I was... you're like at a rock bottom, so you have no fucking choice, right? Like you got to do something.
You were kind of forced to...
I was forced to be like, okay... Yeah, like I had to eat... Well, it was one or two ways. Like, okay,
I'm going to intentionally endure this pain, or life's going to fucking make me feel this pain.
Yeah. And so that, and then I was like, okay, what am I doing? How did I find myself here? And let's figure it out, right? Because clearly I had made some poor choices, and I made some bad decisions. And reflecting back, I was really muddled up in my head. The way I thought wasn't good. The way I interacted with people wasn't great. Like, I mean, you would say I was fine, but like now looking back on it, I mean, I'm way better in interacting with people now.
Yeah.
And I was almost on like fight or flight mode or like a trauma response mode for years.
Yeah.
Almost, right?
I feel you, man.
Yeah. So like only recently for the last couple months, I've been like, and then things are really open. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a major depressive episode about 2.5 years ago, and then I got medicated. I got medication from that and all that. And then I started using cannabis. Like I wasn't really using cannabis much before, but I've been using it since for the last couple of years because it also helps, right? And so I use my cannabis. I use the medication I get from my doctor, and then all the physical activity, mindfulness, everything. I'm just doing everything without, giving a shit what people think about me. So I don't care about stigma and what people are going to say. I mean, okay, I care probably. Like I care, like
100%, man.
Like I care.
I feel you.
I care because I don't like when people like it hurts my feelings when people say things that hurt. Right?
Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, and I know you probably feel like this because I think a lot of. I want to say men instinctively, but I know this is just how most people feel. Like it's like, what are people going to remember about me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of things people can remember about me that aren't good. There's a lot, right? So I can't change that, and I can be upset over it, and I can beat myself up, and I can do this, that, and the. I can't change anything
But you could maybe add to what they can remember.
Yeah, I can add
Like,
to.
hey, you might remember I was rude to you at that point, but you can never say that I didn't work on myself.
Or it doesn't matter what they think. Or it doesn't matter what they think.
Yeah.
It doesn't. What matters is what I think. And if I'm going to do anything, if I need to be a better person, do I need to be a better person? Fuck yeah, I do. Right? And what do I need to do?
And sorry to interrupt
That's
you,
okay.
but it's like, and does what I think about myself, is that dictated by what other people think about me? Like, can I think I'm a badass without you thinking that I'm a badass?
Probably, yeah, probably.
For me, like, that was a tough thing for me, like, because, like, and I'll give an example. Like, I remember, like, the other day, and, like, I know that he probably didn't mean the comment like this, but it was like I was rolling with someone, and he goes like, "How long have you been rolling?" Like, we were kind of talking about that, and I tell him, I go, "Oh, about like 6 months," and he goes, "Okay, you're not as bad as I thought you were." And I remember thinking, like, dude, the whole class, that was fucking, it pissed me off so much, dude. I was like, I don't want to come back, man. Like, fuck this. Like, this is what, like, and this person's like a high level belt. And so it's like, for me, it's like, man, like, maybe I don't have the potential. And then I remember when I was changing after, I was sitting in the very back and I'm taking my gi off and I'm putting my sweats back on. And I'm thinking like, man, I don't give a fuck with that guy. Like, dude, if I, in 5 years, I might not even see this guy ever again. And I'm going to let this guy change the course of what I set out to do. Like, I wanted to become better at this.
Mm-hmm. I'll do you one better. Think of this. And you're right. That was a good decision on your part. But do this one thing. Think about it this way. How long has that guy been rolling there? Do you know him for a while there?
No, I don't. But he's a high level belt, man. Like, he's definitely, I don't know if he's been there for a long time but he's definitely like a veteran. Like, he's fucking.
So you think he had a bad day? Maybe maybe got in a car accident.
Could have been
his girlfriend,
or he could have been just joking with me. That's the other thing. Is like, I don't think that
exactly.
he had that intention of like trying to discourage me, but it just, I don't know whether it was maybe my bad day and I was like fucking self-conscious in that moment.
No, that's us though. I'm telling you right now. Like, I've done the exact same thing. It's in our own head sometimes. Exactly. Like, I mean, I don't know if that was that scenario, but I know for sure 100% I've been in a scenario like that.
Like, why would he have said that to me? Like, was I being shit today? Or
But then we may have heard it and interpreted it in our head incorrectly.
And realistically, what he's saying is like a compliment. Like, he's like, oh, like, that's why you're so fresh. Like, he's like, you're not as bad as I thought. Like,
yeah. Like, I mean,
like, it's almost a compliment, but it just, like, for me in that moment, I was like, why the fuck would he have said that? Like, what the fuck? Why would... I couldn't imagine myself saying, you know what I mean? So I was like, man, like, I looked up to you and you said that to me? Like, what the fuck,
so
man?
I think what it is, it's a lesson for a lot of people, right? Like, be careful. You got to be really careful on how you say things to people, right? That guy may have never meant anything wrong.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, he could have had pure intention.
Or you may have interpreted it differently. Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, but I used to do that all the time. Even like... man, even last year I do that, but I'm trying, like, so now I'm recognizing that. I recognize that. So I would think, okay, not everyone's an asshole. Okay, let me recognize that.
Yeah.
Right? And then I'd be like, okay, let me listen to what they're saying. And then I want to empathize with them, put myself in their shoes. And then I'm actually connecting with them. Because so, like, if whenever I get heat or something like that happens, then what I can do is be like, I'll still engage with them and ask them questions, see where they're at, and if they're actually being dicks or whatever. And the reality is they're probably not. Yeah. And then if communicating a bit further, you're going to see that. And then maybe that tone might have changed. Maybe he was initially being a dick. Who knows, right? Maybe he got a vibe off of you and he was like, and then you guys communicate a bit more and there's like, we're good.
Yeah.
So who knows, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, but these are things you learn, or at least I've been learning after just continually fucking up and trying to do it again and fucking it up and doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like, as well, like, I think that sometimes, like, it's very easy to have, like, kind of like when you are, because I know, like, for myself, like, I'm a pretty social guy, like, I'm very talkative, but when I'm kind of like new, like, especially like going into a gym like that, like, it's like kind of like, okay, I am pretty green, like, I'm definitely the freshest one, so, like, I don't want to talk. When I know, like, if I were to play another sport that I played my whole life, I'm going to talk shit the whole game.
Yeah, you just want to know where you fit in.
But like, if I can't do anything yet, then I'm much more hesitant to kind of talk shit, obviously.
Well, also,
right?
I think jiu-jitsu is a different thing too, right? Like, I think, you can talk shit. I was never one of the major shit talkers. I mean, a lot of the guys do, right?
Yeah.
But I think like a lot of it, and it's usually you're talking shit with your peers. You're not really going to talk shit about someone who's been like a lower belt.
Yeah, it's like punching up, not punching down.
You're kind of insulting them, right? You want to lift them up. You want to help them, right? So if say, for example, if the lower rank is doing something that you can maybe guide them with or make a suggestion, then cool. But I wouldn't want to make them feel shit. Now, if it's someone who's a peer or higher, then yeah, it's different. Then you can talk shit to them.
Yeah.
Right. But then it goes into the relationship with the person. How long then that comes into play too, right? How long you've known them and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, and even just competency. Like I remember, like when I played, like I grew up playing like kind of hockey and rugby were my two. And I remember thinking like that once I got more competent, and obviously like once I'm like in as a teenager in early 20s, like it's like I wouldn't mind even talking shit like to opponents. Like it's like, oh, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do, you know, like whatever.
Those are different sports too, right? Rugby, you gotta fucking do that, right?
Yeah.
And hockey is the same thing.
Yeah.
Rugby and hockey are
it's like 40% of the game is verbal, man.
You're
like,
chirping the whole time, right? So I mean, obviously it depends on the sport, right? Some sports you're not even allowed to.
Yeah.
Right. So and it's almost kind of depending on your position in hockey, it's almost your role.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know about
Definitely.
rugby. Is rugby similar in that regard, or
rugby is a lot more? You'll get penalized for saying anything like that. So it's actually you kind of have to disguise it with like politeness.
Yeah.
Like you'll be like people will call like the ref, like they'll be too formal.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like, do you really think that, sir? Like, you might like say that to the ref, and then
it's not like you're not cussing them out or anything.
Yeah, but you're just like kind of like you're making your point, but you're being very diplomatic about it. Like it's kind of like there's an old saying, like I think it's rugby players say this, so it's obviously biased, but they say like soccer is a gentleman's sport played by hooligans. And rugby is a hooligan sport played by gentlemen.
Okay, that's cool.
So like you kind of like it's like you kind of have to like disguise yourself as being like very polite. Like that was how the shit talking was. So it'd be like, sir, do you think perhaps that this player was offside?
Yeah.
Like that's how you'd frame and you'd be cheeky about it. And he'd be like, all right, number 7, shut the fuck up.
Get out of here.
Yeah. And you get the cards pulled out. So it's kind of more discreet, but hockey definitely.
Oh, zero fucks in hockey.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal. And for me, that's kind of like a part of the, like it kind of gets me mentally into it. And so, like, for me, sometimes in jiu-jitsu, like, I'm kind of keeping my mouth shut and I'm feeling more reserved. And I feel like a lot of the times, especially as, like, guys, like, we're kind of, like, off-put by people that are, like, a little bit more quiet or they're to themselves. Like, it makes us, like, you know, why is this guy doing that?
Well, so not everyone's like that. So, like, if someone's quiet, it doesn't bother me, right? So I would suggest maybe there's something else
Maybe
there.
that's a projection that I'm having. Like, because I'm social, so is someone else isn't. I'm like, what's going on there?
Yeah, so you can always ask them, right? If you see someone super quiet, be like, hey, buddy, what's going on? You all right?
Yeah. But sometimes that's me, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes people kind of maybe get that. I feel like maybe get that impression. They're like, oh, this guy is kind of like, you know, like that resting bitch face, but for a guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm 175 pounds now, but I'm a brown guy with a shaved head walking around 195 pounds.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah.
I get you almost like I almost have to tone it down when I'm talking to people because I can look aggressive. Or whatever, like whatever I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But so I get that. Like it's almost for guys like that, you almost have to try to be softer. It's weird. That's what I've noticed recently. Because like I'm always like I've been hard, like pretty tough. Right?
Yeah.
And
for a lot of us that's like a sense of pride.
Safety. For me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because why would it be I don't know, like maybe I thought I was proud of it because I didn't know better. Right? So I'm like, right? But if I know better now, right? So there shouldn't be pride behind that. What's the reality? Why didn't I let anyone in, or why was I more closed off, or why did I have walls up, or all that? I mean, obviously because you're scared, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
So you put walls up, or you act a different way, or you speak a certain way, or you whatever, right? So I think I don't know. I'm now gravitating towards more trying to be softer and almost like jovial, like, because I want people to come ask for things. And if accepting the burden, remember what that question is, to do things I don't want to do.
Yeah.
So if that means if that means I have to start figuring out ways to be softer and people are more receptive to me, and then they're going to engage more so that I can assist however I can, then I got to do that and figure out how to do that and not be a bitch about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but that's for me. That's the question I asked myself, and I accepted that question. Everyone's different, and not everyone has to do that. But I think people should ask themselves a question and then commit to whatever they decide to do, and whatever they commit to then go 100% to that, and then you'll obviously do well, I think.
Yeah. And just to mitigate the stress along the way, because I think a lot of the time, like, we talk about getting burnt out because, like, oh, we're on the grind, I'm working all this time. But I know for a fact, like, you definitely feel the same way that I do in regards to this. I shouldn't say that, but I'm making the assumption, like, it's like, you know, we don't really get burnt out by work. Like, it's like the stress. Like, it's like when you're doing shit that, like you were saying, like when you work a job that, you know, you're not valued, or you don't see the point in it, and it seems monotonous every single day. Like, you could do that for 4 hours a day and fucking hate your life. Or you could do a job that doesn't stress you out, that feels rewarding, and you could work 12, 16 hours a day and wake up every single day energized. Like, you could wake up at 4 a.m. and be like, all right, let's go. Like, let's do this.
I'll tell you straight up, man. Like, I love doing what I'm doing now. And obviously I'm not getting paid to do it. But I spend all my spare time doing it.
Yeah.
Where I could spend work a bit extra where at my workplace, but I don't.
Yeah.
Right? Because I love what I'm doing now.
Or you could be right now, like, you could be sitting on your couch at home with your feet up.
Yeah, but you know, I could do that whenever. And the reality is this potentially can mean more to other people, right? Like, I'm having a discussion with you. I'm learning more. I'm practicing some skill sets that I need to improve upon. I get to know about you. I get to understand more about you. And then I get to do the same for you. And then hopefully when people listen to this, there's an opportunity of that as well. So me sitting on my sofa doesn't help me. Doesn't help you.
No, yeah.
And it doesn't help anybody who's listening to anything. And it doesn't work. Like, it's all synergy, right? This is all synergistic relationships. We're all kind of connecting. And that's how things improve. Nothing improves in a vacuum by itself. At least I don't know. I mean, maybe some scientists know some stuff, but
I don't fucking think so.
but in a vacuum by itself, like, you know, one thing doesn't do anything, right? Even you can be the baddest ass on the planet with just standing by yourself with nothing. Not much is going to happen. But if you're engaging with people that are like-minded, then you have a force, right? Then you have a group of people that are really working hard to execute for the collective. Then you have a large number of people that really are happy to do it, and then positivity happens out of that. So for me, I don't need to make a ton of money. I'm okay with doing what I'm doing, and then my responsibilities are taken care of, obviously. And then, you know, if I make money somehow, eventually someday with speaking to people, then cool. If not, then that's fine too. Whatever. I'm just kind of on a journey and seeing what happens.
Yeah, you just got the path and you're following it.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. Like, I've just set a path and I'm committed to it, and then we'll see.
That's beautiful, man. That's the same way I view my life right now. It's like I have my path carved, and I don't know where exactly it's going to take me, and maybe I'm going to kick the bucket along the way, but I know that from now until the day that I do kick the bucket, like, I'm just going to keep going, whether it's, you know, some days are a sprint, or some days it's just one foot in front of the other. Like, I just got to do 2 steps today, like, or 1 step today. Like,
it's awesome, man. No, I love this, like, meeting people and having conversations like this.
Yeah.
And I could do this every day, really. And,
fuck yeah.
And if it helps anybody, I know it helps me, so I will do it no matter what, because it helps me. And And if I could spread the message about what I'm trying to do, then that's cool too.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say that's a beautiful place to wrap it up, man.
Yeah,
Why don't you give yourself like a little bit of a plug, like tell people where they can find you, like where they can follow your journey, where they can see the documentary, like tell people like one more thing, and then sneak in a little bit of motivation or a little bit of happiness as well, man.
So everything that I'm doing currently right now is primarily on my Instagram. So it's at sach.in.motion. So sach.in.motion. And then I have a website as well, is www.sachinmotion.com. And I'm just updating the website a little bit, but for the most part, everything's on the Instagram. I'll be starting to post a few more things in the coming weeks because a lot of the filming for the documentary will be happening. And we're going to, from the documentary that we're going to be filming, a lot of things that we're not going to really be posting much from that. I might, post a little bit here and there of things that are happening
behind the scenes,
but that's going to be just filming, and then we'll see what we have at the end of 3 years, and then we'll consolidate, edit, and then make a story and see what happens. Worst case scenario goes on YouTube, right? Whatever, and
dude, even that's a huge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to be doing it. It's happening. So just a matter of what it looks like and how we can deliver that to as many people as possible. And see if it can help, because the people that we're getting involved in this project know way more than I do, and they're a lot smarter than I am, and they have a lot more to share, and they're going to be imparting their knowledge to me during this process, so that information can pass on to other people, hopefully.
Hell yeah, man.
Anyways, so website sachinmotion.com, Instagram sach.in.motion, and man, fucking just keep watching. You'll see what's going on, and then that's it.
Oh yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you too, man. And it was good to be on here. Hopefully, people listen and appreciate and join the journey.
And even if they don't, man, we're going to keep talking, man.
Awesome.
Fuck yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for everybody listening. I hope you have a good day, good week, whatever time of the day it is, whether it's morning, evening, whenever you listen to this. Hopefully you're getting it. Maybe you're going for a run or doing your laundry or some shit, but thank you so much. Much love and peace out.
Have a good day.